Welcome back to Stu Studio, conservative takes on music. This past Saturday on June 27th, country music legend Alan Jackson played his final show. He packed out Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee, and supporting artists who also paid tribute to Alan Jackson included George Strait, Carrie Underwood, Luke Combs, Lainey Wilson, Luke Bryan, Miranda Lambert. It was just packed. And the red carpet leading up to the concert gave family, friends, and other big artists a chance to share their memories of Alan Jackson's career, to show their appreciation for him. You might think that I like punk a little bit too much to care about Alan Jackson, but that's just not true. I was actually one of the first audio engineers to work at AJ's Good Time Bar and set up the sound system. And the only reason I stopped is because I moved out of the state. So I spent many weekends working in AJ's Good Time Bar. You might call it being propagandized because they played Alan Jackson videos on every screen that was available. Every artist on stage seemed to pour out their adoration for Alan Jackson. I only actually met him twice, but he was always super respectful, way taller than you would think. And what I actually admired about him is that he had a strict rule of country music only at his bar. So while other bars up and down Broadway in Nashville like Tootsie's and Crazy Town would all turn their sets into a glorified rock concert inside a tiny bar, Alan remains dedicated to keeping his bar a safe haven for real country music. I think they even had a year that you couldn't play past for country. Something like 1998, like you couldn't play any song after that or it wasn't considered real country. He also showed real support for artists who played in his bar. Like he had competitions for the bands to join him on his tours. So a couple people I know and ran sound for frequently actually got to open up for him because they won, which is a super cool gesture for someone as big as Alan Jackson. So sequentially, here's how the night went. This from USA Today. Before taking the stage to celebrate Jackson's catalog, artists including Luke Bryan, Lainey Wilson, Luke Combs, Cody Johnson, Jake Owen, Little Big Town, and John Party joined members of his family on the red carpet where they shared personal memories of the country icon. His nephew, Adam Wright, said that when he moved to Nashville, Alan would take him in for an evening, hand him $100, and say, go pick one of those cars to drive out for your date night. And we know that Alan Jackson knows a lot about living and a little about love, so he knows how important it is to enjoy a nice date night with your wife. His great niece, Carlisle Wright, said that it was amazing to be able to honor him at his farewell show. She was holding back tears talking about when he invited her. Luke Combs reflected on a moment that he and Alan had in the tunnel after Alan presented him with Entertainer of the Year. He said, we got to have kind of this moment walking through the tunnel. It was just me and him. I'd never met him in my life. I remember him just telling me, that was a taller hill you just climbed. And that was like all he said. I was like, damn, that was really poignant and a matter of fact. Then as soon as I looked to my left and looked to my right, he was gone. Just some profound wisdom in so few words that we hadn't heard. The show was actually delayed due to lightning for about an hour. Then after all that, while people were finding their seats, they played messages from Keith Urban and from Taylor Swift that they had sent to Alan. Taylor said that she admires him for his songwriting and showing a little window into his life, and that her favorite song is Drive. That is a great choice for a favorite Alan Jackson song. And once Alan finally took the stage, after all the chaos of the entire evening, he greeted the crowd by saying, how y'all feeling tonight? Which is very Alan Jackson. Then he just ripped right into Gone Country. He showed so much gratitude for his career and for the support of his fans. Said, these nice things people said, it's just overwhelming. It just makes me want to tear up a little bit. And he kind of did. Says he thanked the all-star lineup that honored him before, joking that the tribute show had briefly felt more like his own memorial service. We're not going to dwell on all this last show stuff, he said. Earlier it felt like a funeral and I was up in heaven watching all these people sing my songs. That would definitely be a very weird experience. Says, instead, Jackson told the crowd he wanted them to treat the night the same way they had treated his music for decades. Two-step up and down the aisle, do whatever you want to do, sit back and relax, have a good time, have a drink. We'll try to play something you like. I haven't seen crowd footage, but I bet there was quite a bit of dancing. And drinking, for that matter. And the last three songs of his set were three of his biggest hits, Chattahoochee, Mercury Blues, and Where I Come From. Crazy to see an artist of his age and with his tenure with so much energy, even as they're saying that's their last show ever. But Alan Jackson is actually retiring because he has Charcot-Marie tooth disease, otherwise known as CMT. This is something that affects the nerves in your extremities, so you can't balance yourself, you can't move naturally, and in extreme cases, it even affects your sense of touch. So completely understandable for Alan to say farewell to his audience, but it doesn't make it any less heartbreaking. I know Alan Jackson is a one-of-a-kind talent who didn't even know that songwriters existed, so he just wrote and played all of his own music that he really, really cared for and poured his entire heart into. I don't know how many other artists we can say these days that are entirely self-composed, or that possess so much raw talent that they didn't even know that support existed. So the industry is going to have a huge hole left behind, and country music will never be the same. So long to Alan Jackson. Thanks for watching this week's episode of Stu Studio. And remember, Jesus loves you.